Thank God for the fallow time, wrote Howard Thurman. As I sat in my living room on Thursday morning, my mother was here this past week helping with the baby. She anxiously scrolled the internet for every weather map she could find, predicting the path and intensity of this winter storm that we sit in the aftermath of today. And as with most instances of big weather, it brought up all kinds of memories and stories of other big weather. We whiled away some time, reminiscing about where we had been for the other blizzards in our lives, which brought us to ice, which brought us to hail, which brought us to summer storms and tornado watches. And so it was that I immediately thought of Louise Erdrich's description of weather talk around the reservation in her book, The Roundhouse. She writes, "My father could outweather anybody. Like people anywhere, there were times when it was the only topic where people here felt comfortably expressive. My father could go on earnestly, seemingly forever. When the current weather was exhausted, there was all the other weather that had ever occurred in recorded history, whether lived through or witnessed by a relative or even heard about in the news, catastrophic weather of all types. And when that was done, there was the weather that might possibly occur in the future. I had even heard him speculate about weather in the afterlife." Since it seems to me that weather talk is a universally appreciated subgenre of small talk, my last sermon touched on the virtues of small talk as a place that provides insight into that which rests into our hearts. But weather talk, that provides insight into a place, a location, a geography, what happens with the weather and how people talk about it. That's how you get a sense of place. I've been growing my sense of place when it comes to Philadelphia. I moved here only 3.5 years ago, only a few short years, packing all of my possessions into a moving truck the summer of 2018 and heading south from New England to a teeny row house in Fishtown, where Livia and I would begin the next chapter of our lives. We moved in the month of August, and all I remember is the wall of heat that greeted me when we pulled up on Montgomery Ave and stepped out of the car. It was like living in a hairdryer. The weather here, I learned, it was hot. As a New Englander, we take pride in enduring and thriving during the winter months, but here, in this place, Philly seems to be about enduring and thriving during the summer months. When it's so hot, we comb through the car for things that might be melting before we exit. Stuff that will never be removed should we forget it's in the pocket. So I have found that weather talk in Philly often comes back around to heat, and we should take small comfort in that today, as we sit here in long underwear and smart wool socks. Here in Philadelphia, at this latitude, we are actually only weeks away from the thaw. For now, though, our weather talk is firmly about snow and ice and temperatures that dip below freezing. Right now, the ground outside is hard. A trowel would chip at it, shave away at it, rather than nestle in. I have for certain been feeling cold and a bit hard myself these last few weeks. Omicron plus winter temperatures have intensified the feeling that the soil of my soul that Thurman spoke of, that the soil of my soul has become dry and a bit malnourished. Not much that I have planted these past few weeks, really, since coming back from parental leave, not much has taken root. I have felt that the fields of my spirit have been a bit barren. Thurman wrote, "There is a fallow time for the spirit when the soul is barren because of sheer exhaustion." Exhaustion. Ding, ding, ding. That sounds right on the money. For all parents at this time, all caregivers who are burning the candle at both ends, who are running on fumes, there are not enough metaphors in the world to adequately describe what it means to care for children in this season. We are in the fallow time of our spirit. Perhaps you're not a parent, but you too feel exhausted, that your soul is a bit barren. Perhaps you lie awake at night watching the clock tick towards morning with no sleep in sight. Perhaps you are covering for others at work. Those out sick right now, doing more work with fewer people and less support, and perhaps you've been doing that for years. You too might be feeling fallow. Or perhaps you're caring for a beloved, making endless appointments, keeping track of medications, following up with doctors, and keeping friends and family in the loop. Perhaps you feel your soul too is barren. You feel some coldness and hardness at your roots. You too know a fallow time. So fallow ground, what is it? It's unplanted ground. Thank God for the fallow time, Thurman wrote, for fallow time is healing time. A strategy employed by farmers to give the land a time for rest. Land that has been planted and harvested over and over, often with the same plants, needing the same nutrients year after year, that land slowly dies. There's nothing alive in it anymore. No microorganisms to help break things down and build things up. No ability to hold water and retain moisture. No essential elements like phosphorus and nitrogen to boost the growth of seeds. Farmers let fields go fallow to heal the soil because it is hurting, because it is depleted, it is exhausted. Fallowing is a technique. It's been used for centuries to ensure that arable land remains arable land, that gardens and fields are given time to rest and recuperate. And to do that, they must remain unplanted for a season. They must remain empty, barren, producing nothing, working towards nothing. But doing nothing isn't worth nothing. Doing nothing isn't worth nothing. It is rich in potential, rich in healing. Though the field might look empty, might look unused or unproductive, though we might feel empty, feel unused or unproductive, fallow fields are critical for future harvest. Hidden in that deliberate choice by the farmer to let a field remain unplanted lies a longer-term vision. A longer-term vision for a bounty that comes around after things have rested, after things have been allowed to rest, for us to wait. There is a fallow time for the spirit when the soul is barren, and the fields of our spirit, the soul of our soils, it seems right to me. It seems right to me, beloveds. It seems good and well that we embrace a fallow season, that we acknowledge that nothing green, nothing nourishing might be able to grow right now. Nothing can be produced from soil that is thin and worn out when everything has been extracted and there's nothing left to give. In this extended season of the pandemic, it is a fallow time. And it is as it should be. Whatever may be the reason, says Howard Thurman, one has to deal with the fact, face it, then resolutely dig out the dead roots, clear the ground, but don't forget to make a humus pit against the time when some young or feeble plant will need stimulation. So in this period of quiet, if you find yourself identifying with this time of waiting, this season of fallow fields, there is a richness setting in. While we quarantine and lay quietly in our beds awaiting the thaw, ask yourself, what is happening in the dirt of your soul? What future richness is taking root? What elements are rising to the surface so that you might produce sturdier crops later? We have to rest the soils of our souls if we are to keep farming for years to come. Fallow fields are long-term fields. Fallow fields are in it for the long haul, and it's part of a balanced and healthy approach, which takes into account that being barren, being unproductive can be a deliberate, strategic, essential choice, and that waiting for the thaw, waiting for the earth to spin us closer to spring, waiting is the best thing we can do right now. As Kevin Hankey reminds us, we also have the weather, the rain and the wind and the snow to keep us happy while we wait. So go ahead, be fallow. Let yourself have a season off. Let others rotate in. Other faith traditions know the importance of marking this season. Pagans hold the festival of Imbolc on February 1st. This marks the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Cold and hard and tough as this time may be, pagans recognize the holiness in every season of the cycle, every angle of the wheel to come back again in 12 months. Imbolc is Old Irish for in the belly, for we're really in the belly of it now. This is a time where we reflect on the ability of the earth to birth new life, coinciding with the earliest parts of lambing season. We take comfort now in the fact that these are customs, ancient traditions that know that the waiting time, this fallow time, is but a threshold period to something greater. So, to keep with the celebration of Imbolc and to recognize the value of that fallow season for us all, some things you might do to mark this time. Perhaps in this coming week, you could let yourself have a nap. Find a day when you can cat nap on the couch, power nap at your desk, or go whole hog, get into bed for a full restorative REM cycle. You could find a river or a stream and take a quiet moment to watch the water flowing by as it continues its journey towards a larger pond, a larger lake, feeding the bank around it, knowing it once was a dry bed, and may be again soon or in the future, but for now it runs. You could clean out your miscellany drawer, that one drawer in the kitchen or at your desk that holds the loose change and the binder clips and the coupons and the sunglasses. Whatever assortment of random things that need a home, take a few minutes to clear it out. Dig out the dead roots of that mess and leave something that's ready for future use. Each of these ideas is meant to gesture at the rich potential of this time, that even though we may feel unplanted, even though we may feel our souls are barren and the soil is parched, this time is not wasted. Fallow fields are reborn as thriving fields once the wait is over. This time, as Howard Thurman writes, this is a moment when the meaning of all things can be searched out, tracked down, and made to yield the secret of living. So may you claim your fallow season. May you recognize it is not worth nothing to do nothing. And may some rest yield the secret of living to us all. May it be so. Amen.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.